how to think in English and stop translating. Thinking in English instead of constantly translating from your native language is one of the biggest shifts that can elevate your fluency, confidence, and natural expression. But most English learners struggle with this for years. They start a sentence in English, pause, think in their native tongue, mentally translate, and only then try to speak. This method is not only slow and mentally exhausting, but it often results in unnatural, incorrect, or broken English. In this episode, we'll explore how you can make the powerful switch from translation to thinking directly in English, and how that can transform your entire learning experience. The first thing to understand is that translating is not a natural process. Babies don't learn their native language by translating. They acquire it through exposure, repetition, and meaningful interaction. Similarly to think in English, you must create an environment that mimics this natural learning process. This doesn't mean you need to live in an English-speaking country. It means you need to immerse your brain in English on a daily basis, with intention and consistency. The mind is like a sponge, and it adapts to what it's most frequently exposed to. But why do learners rely on translation? It's because they haven't built strong automatic connections between English words and their meanings. For example, if you learn the word apple by associating it directly with the fruit, your brain will store that connection. But if you always learn apple, you'll always have to do a mental conversion before using it. This slows down your speech, and your brain stays in translation mode. To escape this loop, you must build direct associations in English. That means thinking of the word apple and immediately visualizing the fruit, not the word in your native language. This seems small, but it's powerful. Direct associations train your brain to connect thoughts and experiences directly with English vocabulary, a key part of thinking in English. Start practicing this with simple objects around your house. When you see a chair, say chair in your mind, not just chair. Another habit that helps is narrating your daily actions in English. This is a method used by many successful language learners. As you make tea, say in your mind, I'm boiling water. Now I'm adding the tea bag. I'm stirring it. These are short, simple thoughts, but they gradually rewire your brain to process daily life in English. You begin to form internal sentences automatically, without translating. Moreover, reading in English builds the foundation for thinking in English. But not just any reading, you need comprehensible input. That means reading material that's just slightly above your current level. So, you understand 90% of it, and the rest stretches your brain just enough. This keeps your brain engaged in English while not overwhelming it. Books, short stories, articles, even graded readers. They all work if you read them regularly. In addition to reading, active listening is crucial. Listening to English podcasts, YouTube videos, or audiobooks, especially with natural speech, exposes your mind to the rhythm and structure of English. Over time, you start to predict sentence patterns, intonation, and vocabulary use. Your brain begins to think in these patterns without conscious effort. This is called passive internalization. Your subconscious absorbs the structure of the language simply by repeated exposure. Speaking is another critical part of building the ability to think in English. But here's the key. Don't worry about being perfect. The goal is fluency, not perfection. Even if your grammar isn't perfect, speaking out loud in English trains your brain to express ideas in that language, not just to memorize rules. Use shadowing. That's when you listen to a native speaker and try to repeat what they say, exactly as they say it. This technique helps build muscle memory and pronunciation habits. Journaling in English is a powerful tool, too. When you write about your day, your feelings, or your plans in English, you force your brain to generate English thoughts and structure them. Unlike speaking, writing gives you time to think and correct yourself. With regular journaling, you build the habit of generating original thoughts in English, a major step toward thinking in the language. You also need to watch out for mental permission. Many learners believe they must be fluent before they can think in English. But that's a myth. You can think in simple English from day one. The key is to use the vocabulary and grammar you already know. Don't wait until you know everything. Just start with what you have. Think in present tense. Use short sentences and describe the world around you. Visualization is another method that supports English thinking. When you imagine a scene, try to describe it in English in your mind. For example, imagine walking into a cafe. Picture the counter, the smell of coffee, the sound of the barista. Now, describe all of it in English. This mental exercise strengthens the pathways in your brain that link visual input with English expression. You might also consider changing the language settings on your phone, social media, and apps to English. This forces you to interact with technology in English daily, which increases your comfort and familiarity with common words and phrases. These small changes accumulate and push your brain toward an English-dominant mindset. It's important to be patient. Thinking in English is a gradual process, not something you achieve overnight. You're training your brain to operate in a different language, and that takes time. But with consistent practice, the rewards are enormous. You'll stop translating, your speaking will become faster, and your confidence will grow naturally. You'll be able to think, feel, and live through English. And that's the ultimate goal of language learning. So, don't focus on perfection. Focus on progress. Every time you catch yourself thinking in English, no matter how simple the thought, you've made a step forward. Celebrate that. Build on it. The more you practice these habits, the more automatic it becomes. And before you know it, you'll be thinking in English like it's your second nature. The path to thinking in English continues through the subtle rewiring of your daily routines, inner voice, and language environment. The more your mind hears, processes, and uses English, the more it defaults to it without conscious translation. But this transformation is not passive. It demands consistent and mindful input from your end. One of the most overlooked techniques is creating an English zone in your daily life, a time and space where only English exists. This could be 30 minutes a day where you only consume English, think in English, speak to yourself in English, and try to live in that mental world. Over time, that zone expands until English becomes a part of your mental default. Another key method is labeling your world. Use sticky notes to label objects in your house with their English names. Every time you use a spoon, touch the door, or look at your desk, your brain sees the English word. This visual reinforcement supports the mental shift from your native language to English. It's a powerful cue for direct association. Eventually, you won't need the labels. Your brain will identify these objects using English terms naturally. The role of repetition in thinking in English cannot be overstated. Repetition is how the brain builds efficiency. Think of how often you've heard common phrases in your native language. Now imagine hearing, "How are you? I don't know," or "Let's go," hundreds of times in real-life situations. These phrases become automatic. That's what you want in English. Repetition through listening, reading, writing, and speaking builds fluency in your thought process. You also need to manage your expectations. Many learners quit too early because they feel frustrated when they can't instantly think in English. But this ability is a byproduct of persistence. Even native English speakers took years to develop their inner voice as children. So, give yourself permission to grow. Treat your mistakes not as failures, but as necessary steps on your journey. Use mental substitution. If you find yourself thinking in your native language, don't judge it. Simply pause and restate the thought in English. Over time, this habit becomes faster and smoother. At first, it will feel like effort. But soon, your mind will automatically try to form the English version before the native version. That's a huge win. It means your brain is starting to prioritize English internally. One of the biggest breakthroughs for learners is understanding that fluency is built in silence. It's not just what you say aloud, but how you process internally. When you're walking, doing dishes, sitting in a car. These are all perfect moments for internal English dialogue. Describe your surroundings. Talk to yourself. Ask yourself questions and answer them in English. This kind of solo practice is where real fluency develops. Mindset plays a huge role, too. If you keep telling yourself, "I can't think in English," your brain listens. Shift your self-talk to, "I'm learning to think in English," or better yet, "I am thinking in English more every day." The brain responds to belief and repetition. The way you speak to yourself matters more than you realize. Your mindset becomes your reality over time. Grammar study has a place, but it should support your thinking, not control it. Don't let the fear of grammar mistakes stop you from forming thoughts in English. Fluency means being comfortable even when you're not perfect. Children speak before they know the rules. You should too. Use grammar as a reflection tool after you've expressed your thoughts, not as a blocker during expression. Immersion doesn't have to be physical. It can be mental. You can live in a non-English speaking country and still create full immersion. Set your default music, media, and reading to English. Build friendships with people who speak English, even if online. Join discussion groups. Follow English-speaking creators. Make English the main language of your entertainment, and your brain will naturally start processing the world in English terms. Another tip is to give names to your emotions and experiences in English. When you feel tired, say, "I'm exhausted." When you're happy, say, "I'm feeling great today." This teaches your brain to express not just facts, but feelings in English. Emotional vocabulary is powerful because it connects language to your internal world, not just external objects. The stronger that emotional tie, the faster your brain switches to English. Practice storytelling. Retell a story you heard or experienced, but do it in English. This requires you to think about past events, structure them, and present them with detail. It strengthens memory recall in English and helps you organize complex thoughts. Start small. Retell what happened yesterday. Then, move to childhood memories or favorite movies. This kind of output sharpens your inner voice and narrative thinking. Use question prompts. Ask yourself things like, "What do I need to do today? how do I feel about that conversation? Or, what would I say if I had to explain this to someone in English? These questions push you to explore your thoughts from different angles in English. And as you do, your brain starts to prioritize English for problem solving and introspection. Music is another underrated tool. Singing along to English songs, especially if you read the lyrics, helps improve pronunciation, rhythm, and memory. But more importantly, songs stick in your brain. They become mental soundtracks. You might find yourself walking and singing lyrics in your mind. That's thinking in English too. Use this to your advantage. Fill your day with English sounds. Use apps that promote spaced repetition, like Anki or Quizlet, for vocabulary. But don't just memorize words, learn them in context. For example, instead of just memorizing reluctant, use a sentence like, "She was reluctant to speak in front of the crowd." This way, when you think of that feeling, the whole sentence appears, not just the word. That's the goal. Natural, automatic recall. You can also practice English-only challenges. Spend 1 hour where all your input and output is in English, no exceptions. If you don't know a word, find another way to explain it. This forces creativity and deep thinking. The struggle becomes productive. Do this regularly, and soon your brain will stop reaching for translation. It will start reaching for expression. Change how you react to unknown words. Instead of panicking or translating, guess the meaning from context. Ask yourself, what does this sentence suggest? This builds inference skills, a huge part of natural language processing. Native speakers do this all the time. You must train your brain to be comfortable with ambiguity. Not everything needs a direct translation. You also want to connect your English thoughts to actions. For example, when you write a to-do list, do it in English. When you organize your tasks, plan your week, or review your goals, do it all in English. These are real-life functions, and tying them to English helps your brain use the language as a tool, not just as a subject. That's what fluent people do. They use English. They don't just study it. Finally, remember this. You already know how to think. You just need to shift the language. That shift comes from exposure, repetition, patience, and confidence. Every time you resist the urge to translate and try to form the thought in English, you're strengthening the connection. Do that daily, and your inner voice will slowly but surely become an English speaker. To continue thinking in English naturally, it helps to shift your daily decision-making into the target language. Every day, you make hundreds of micro-decisions. What to eat, where to go, what to wear, what to say, how to respond. These are all moments where you can inject English into your thought process. For example, when choosing breakfast, ask yourself, should I make eggs or oatmeal today? In English. These small interactions build a cognitive environment where English is not just a language you study, but a language you live in. Visualization is another powerful technique. Close your eyes and imagine different daily scenarios: a job interview, ordering at a cafe, a travel experience. Now, narrate everything in English. Describe the setting, the people, your feelings, and the dialogue. Visualization strengthens neural connections because your brain treats imagined experiences similarly to real ones. By walking through imagined conversations in English, you train your mind to respond faster in real life. Think of your brain like a garden. The seeds you plant and water are the ones that grow. If you water English thoughts through audio, reading, speaking, and mental practice, they will eventually outgrow the weeds of translation. But it requires daily tending. A short session each day, even 15 minutes of focused inner dialogue in English, can yield powerful results over weeks and months. You should also simplify your English during early mental practice. Don't aim for Shakespeare. Use simple, clear sentences at first. I need to clean the kitchen. I feel tired today. She is my friend. Simplicity builds confidence. Complexity can come later. Just like children learn to think in simple sentences, so can you. Fluency is not about speaking fancy. It's about clarity and speed of thought. To make faster progress, use your phone and computer in English. Set the system language to English. Change the language of your apps. This forces your mind to absorb English passively and interpret instructions, settings, and notifications. At first, it may feel difficult, but this is a great form of unconscious training. You will absorb vocabulary effortlessly, and it helps normalize English as part of your digital life. Another method is to keep a short English journal. Each night, write 3 to 4 sentences about your day, how you felt, what you learned, or what you plan to do. This strengthens expressive skills and forces you to process experiences in English. Over time, this daily reflection becomes a strong habit. It becomes your inner monologue. And that monologue will start switching to English, little by little. Thinking in English also requires reprogramming how you listen. Instead of translating when someone speaks, focus on understanding meaning. This means listening for ideas, not words. What's the speaker trying to say? What is the overall message? Native speakers don't process every word consciously. They process context. You must train your ears to hear phrases and ideas, not isolated vocabulary. A useful tool here is shadowing. This is when you repeat what you hear in real time or just a second behind. Listen to podcasts or videos, pause, and repeat the sentence aloud. Try to match the speaker's tone, speed, and rhythm. This not only improves pronunciation, but also internalizes the structure of English speech. It rewires your brain to feel the language, not analyze it. One of the best places to practice thinking in English is during transitions, while walking, commuting, brushing your teeth, or doing chores. These are moments your mind is free. Use them. Describe what you're doing in English. Folding laundry. The socks go here. I need to finish this quickly. It may seem silly, but this self-talk strengthens fluency. You begin to narrate your life in English, which is exactly what fluent people do. When learning new words, focus on collocations, words that naturally go together. Instead of learning heavy and rain separately, learn heavy rain. Instead of make and decision, learn make a decision. Your brain stores these as one idea. Then, when thinking, you won't need to assemble every thought from scratch. You'll recall the full expression naturally. Avoid perfection paralysis. Many learners get stuck thinking, "Is this correct?" before even forming the thought. But fluent thinking requires letting go. Mistakes are okay. They are part of the process. Fluency is not accuracy. It's speed and confidence. Over time, accuracy improves through exposure. But if you block yourself every time you're unsure, you never let your English brain grow. You can also boost thinking by practicing retelling stories in English. Watch a video, read a short article, then close it and try to summarize it in your own words, out loud or in your mind. This requires deep processing. You have to understand, remember, and restructure, all in English. This is one of the most powerful exercises for activating your inner voice and developing critical thinking in English. If you dream in English, even briefly, that's a great sign. It means your brain has begun to internalize the language at a subconscious level. But don't worry if this hasn't happened yet. Everyone's brain is different. Instead, focus on consistency. Daily exposure, reflection, and self-talk are what lead to those deeper mental changes. Another powerful tip: when you don't know how to say something in English, try explaining it another way. In English. This is called circumlocution. For example, if you forget the word wallet, say, "the thing I use to carry money and cards." This keeps your thinking in English even when you lack vocabulary. It trains your brain to stay immersed in the target language without switching. Create micro goals. For example, today I will describe my entire breakfast routine in English, or I will think in English for the next 10 minutes while I clean the kitchen. These small challenges create momentum. They build the habit of thinking in English without overwhelming you. Tiny, consistent steps lead to huge mental shifts over time. Reading is crucial too, but read out loud when possible. This activates both visual and auditory systems. It helps your mouth and mind get used to English patterns. Over time, the rhythm of English becomes natural. You'll find yourself anticipating phrases and flowing through ideas, just as you do in your native language. Thinking in English also means reacting emotionally in English. When something surprises you, say, "Wow," instead of your native equivalent. When you're frustrated, say, "Ugh, I hate this," instead of reverting to your own language. These emotional triggers are strong learning moments. Your brain ties language to feeling, and that creates deep learning. Finally, celebrate your progress. Every time you catch yourself thinking in English, even a little, recognize it. Smile. Write it down. These moments matter. They show growth, and they motivate you to keep going. The shift from translating to thinking in English is not instant, but it's always happening in the background if you stay consistent. You're training your mind to change its default language for processing the world. That's a huge deal. It's not just learning, it's transformation. And every minute you spend thinking in English builds that transformation further. So keep going. Even if it's hard, even if you feel stuck, the effort you're making is already reshaping your mind. And soon, English will feel like second nature. One of the most important mental shifts in learning to think in English is understanding that language is not just about vocabulary and grammar. It's about perspective. When you think in a new language, you begin to see the world slightly differently. English has its own idioms, its own expressions, and its own cultural assumptions. When you internalize those, you're not just using English. You're beginning to think like someone who lives in that linguistic world. This is the key to true fluency. You may notice that some expressions in English feel unnatural when you try to translate them directly from your native language. That's because every language prioritizes different ways of seeing the world. English tends to favor clarity, directness, and active structure. By thinking in English, you train your brain to adopt those patterns. Over time, this makes your communication smoother and more intuitive. Another habit to develop is using English for self-reflection. When you think about your goals, your challenges, your relationships, try to do that inner reflection in English. Ask yourself deep questions like, what do I really want in life? Or, why do I feel frustrated today? Doing this builds advanced emotional vocabulary and helps you articulate complex thoughts in English. It makes your mental world bilingual. Incorporating English into emotional and philosophical thinking is especially powerful. When you journal in English about something emotional, your brain connects that language with authentic personal experiences. These connections are stronger than flashcards. The more emotional depth you add to your English practice, the more real the language becomes in your mind. Don't wait for perfect grammar before you try to think in English. Perfection is a trap. Even native speakers make mistakes. Your goal is not correctness, it's connection. Focus on getting your ideas out. Think like a communicator, not like a student. Your brain will catch up on accuracy over time. But fluency starts with freedom. Freedom to speak, to think, to feel in English without fear. Another helpful strategy is to expose yourself to different English accents and dialects. Watch British shows, Australian interviews, Canadian podcasts, and American movies. This gives your brain a richer experience of the language. It also trains your ear to adapt to different rhythms and pronunciations. When you think in English, your mind draws from these sources, creating a diverse mental library. Pay attention to the sounds of English. Try repeating phrases you hear in podcasts with exaggerated pronunciation. This builds muscle memory. It also strengthens the sound patterns in your brain. The more rhythmically and musically you interact with English, the easier it becomes to feel the language. Thinking is not just mental, it's also physical. The way your tongue and brain work together matters. Some learners find it helpful to narrate their day in English to an imaginary friend. It might sound silly, but it works. Imagine you're explaining your routine to someone who doesn't speak your native language. Now, I'm getting my coffee. It's too hot. I'll wait a bit. Okay, now I'll check my emails. This builds fluency because it creates real-time thinking pressure without fear of judgment. One powerful concept is input equals output. The more English you listen to and read, the easier it becomes to think in English. But not just any input. It has to be meaningful, understandable, and slightly challenging. Podcasts, audiobooks, YouTube channels, and real conversations are gold. They feed your brain with structures and expressions that your mind can later reuse in thinking. Another tip is to rephrase your native language thoughts into English. When you catch yourself thinking in your language, pause and try to translate the idea, not word by word, but meaning by meaning, into English. This back and forth helps your brain develop the bridge between the two languages. Eventually, you'll skip the translation and go straight to English thought. To support this, you can write down common phrases you use in your native language and learn how to say them naturally in English. For example, if you often say, "It's not worth it," find the English equivalent and repeat it. Use it in self-talk. The more relevant the phrases are to your real life, the faster they will become part of your English thinking. Music also helps. Listen to English songs and try to understand the lyrics. Sing along. This taps into memory, emotion, and rhythm. Powerful brain systems. The more you feel the language, the more natural thinking in it becomes. Try listening to a song every morning and humming it throughout the day. It keeps English active in your subconscious mind. You can also try teaching others. If you have a friend who is learning English, explain simple ideas or vocabulary to them in English. Teaching forces you to organize your thoughts clearly. It builds strong memory and fluency. Even if you don't have a learner friend, pretend to teach. Record yourself explaining a topic in English. Then listen and reflect. This exercise is gold. Don't underestimate the power of silence either. Sometimes thinking in English is simply sitting quietly and letting your mind drift in English. Let random thoughts appear. Let sentences form. Don't force it. Just observe. This type of relaxed practice is like meditation. It deepens your mental pathways and strengthens your inner voice in English. Try to create language islands in your environment, specific times and places where only English is allowed. For example, your morning coffee corner could be your English zone, or your evening walk could be English hour. These small rituals create mental associations. Your brain will start expecting English during those times, and that habit will grow stronger. Visual reminders help too. Place sticky notes with English prompts around your space. Simple questions like, "What are you grateful for today?" or "What's your next goal?" These nudge your brain into English. They act like gentle triggers for thinking practice. Over time, you won't need the reminders. The habit will be internal. Your identity matters. Start to see yourself as someone who thinks in English. Don't say, "I'm learning English." Say, "I speak English." This mindset shift is powerful. Your brain follows your identity. If you believe you're an English speaker, your thoughts will begin to align. Confidence is not arrogance, it's belief. And belief creates fluency. As you continue this journey, be kind to yourself. Thinking in English takes time, effort, and patience. There will be days when you struggle, when you feel blocked or tired. That's okay. Language learning is not linear. It's full of ups and downs. But every moment you practice, you're building something powerful. You're training your brain to operate in a new dimension. Celebrate small victories. The first time you order food in English without translating. The first time you dream in English. The first time you catch yourself thinking, "I'm tired," instead of your native equivalent. These are big wins. They show that your English brain is alive and growing. Stay curious. Explore English not just as a tool, but as a window into culture, humor, history, and human connection. Ask questions. Look things up. Engage with content that excites you. The more joy you associate with English, the easier it is to think in it. Passion fuels progress. You've come a long way already. Just by reading this, you've taken a huge step toward building your English thinking habit. Don't stop now. Keep going. Let English be part of your daily rhythm, your inner dialogue, your dreams and goals. Let it shape how you see the world, not instead of your native language, but alongside it. And always remember, fluency is not a destination. It's a process, a lifestyle, a journey. And every time you choose to think in English, even just one thought, you move forward. So keep choosing, keep thinking, keep growing. Thanks for listening to this episode of English 101. If you found it helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more high-quality English listening practice. Keep practicing. Keep thinking in English. And we'll see you in the next episode.